Hello there everyone, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Thursday, July the 12th, 2012, and there is a big protest going on this weekend that I would absolutely love to be able to attend, but unfortunately it's taking place in San Francisco, California, which is quite a bit of a ways away from Toronto, Ontario, so it's not looking like I'm going to be able to get there. But I am talking, of course, about the meeting at the Bohemian Grove. And in case you haven't heard of the Bohemian Grove, what it is basically an annual little summer getaway for the elite of the elite. This is an all-male club that began back in 1872, and some of its members have included some of the most powerful and influential people in the world. Presidents and prime ministers and military men are often there, heads of finance, media moguls, and sometimes artists and musicians, and generally people who exert a large amount of influence over society in general. And so this is an all-male club that has been going on since 1872, where these influential, powerful people, as well as some young up-and-coming initiates, will often attend the Grove as well, who later in life find themselves in rather high positions of power. What goes on at the Grove, which is troubling to me, and should be to most, is the fact that they engage in a ceremony, which is referred to as the cremation of care. And this is a ritualistic ceremony where they sacrifice a body, an effigy of a body is placed onto the fire and sacrificed to this giant 40-foot tall owl god known as Moloch. And this obviously has been the yearly tradition since 1872, but in fact, the worshipping of Moloch and the idea of sacrificing children to Moloch goes back thousands of years. The ancient Canaanites and Babylonians would sacrifice often their firstborn children through the fire to Moloch, because it was believed that they are pleasing the gods in that manner. If they offered up their firstborn son through the fire to Moloch, they believed they would get better crops that year, that their God that they are sacrificing their children to would show them favor, give them power, wealth, fame, all these sorts of things that these people often desire. And so this is going on to this day, where these members of the Grove, remember, we're talking about presidents here, and you know, people like the head of the Federal Reserve and World Bank and very powerful and influential people are going out to this grove, dressing up in hooded robes, black and red robes, and engaging in this mock human sacrifice. And I think the reason why it's called the cremation of care is because that is precisely what they are doing. They are burning off their care. They are killing their God-given conscience in this ritualistic ceremonial sacrifice. And I've often referred to the Bohemian Grove as kind of like a Illuminati summer training camp, because once you show the inner circle of the global elite that you are willing to kill off your conscience and your care, then you prove that you are ready to move on up the ladder on the inner ranks of the inner circle of the global elite. So this, of course, is of great interest to me. The occult connection into the agendas of the New World Order is an important part of understanding the global elite's motives and their desires and their intentions. So I have something in my possession that I wanted to show you today. I made a blog about this, I guess a year ago or so, last time Bohemian Grove was going on, but there's probably a good chance you haven't seen that, so I thought I would show this to you again. This is a document that I've had in my possession for quite some time now. And here it is. Let me just take a seat. Now, what we have here is a copy of Harper's Weekly from September 22nd, 1894. So this is a very old newspaper that I have right here, and in it we see that there is an article on the Bohemian Grove titled "The Bohemian Club of San Francisco Midsummer Hijinks." And now I'll show you a little bit of some of the things that I found in this article that are of interest to me, where it says here, "The band was at its head playing the dirge, behind it a somber catafalque on which rested a draped coffin borne by 8 men in white robes and supposed to contain the body of Care. Behind that came a long line of choristers in white, all carrying torches, and the high priest of Bohemia in picturesque robes came last with the gypsy chief, the sire of the evening. Around these were red devils and gnomes in fantastic masks, bearing the blue lights and moving to and fro incessantly. Then came the members of the guests of the club, making a long procession wonderfully weird under those giant trees lit up with red fire. Over in the little hollow a few hundred yards away from the grove was built a funeral pyre on which turpentine had been sprinkled. The coffin was laid on this pyre. The high priest took his stand on the platform beside it. Around him in a semicircle the choristers and demons with their torches were grouped. The high priest went through a ceremonial in which the choir behind him intoned or sang the words that he spoke. He called on the Bohemians to present their carking cares and their heartaches to be put on the pyre and burned up. Then came some jokes that were pertinent to club members and matters. Then he invoked the Saint John of Nepomuc, adopted by the club for his appropriateness in several ways, and suddenly an enormous figure of Saint John in his robes burst into flame. The pyre was lighted. Care and the Blue Devils went up in a most beautiful and effective form of fireworks, and amid the jubilant cries, the hijinks was over." Now, something else that I found very incredible about this particular article from 1894, remember this is a time when the press wasn't quite as controlled as it is today, so they could get away with printing these types of things. But this particular editor even included artist rendition pictures of the ceremony known as the cremation of Care. Here are those pictures. As you can see here, here is all the high priest, and there's all the giant redwood forests. As you can see there, they all are in their robes, and the little devils carrying the coffin, which is about to be sacrificed. Here is where they place the coffin on the altar and burn it in the cremation of Care ceremony, where they sacrifice it to the owl god known as Moloch. Here, of course, is their logo and their motto, "Weaving spiders, come not here." And that's why I chose my YouTube name, because I'm coming for these guys. But I thought this was pretty amazing that this is being put out there back in 1894. As I said, press is a lot more controlled these days, so getting these types of articles out there aren't as easy anymore. But it's just something I wanted to share with you today, because as I said, this ritualistic ceremony is going to be going on this weekend, where these very powerful and influential men are going to be engaging in this mock human sacrifice. And as I said, it's incredibly important to have a good understanding of the occult connection in regards to some of the motives behind the global elite, because when you begin to dive down that rabbit hole, you will quickly learn that it's not just all about money. I mentioned this in my blog before, that it's not about money. It's not even all about power. This agenda is much bigger than that. It comes down to the very souls of men are what we're dealing with here. This indeed is a spiritual warfare, and it's quite evident when you see these elitists engaging in occultic, ritualistic, sacrificial ceremonies that date back to the ancient Babylonians. So just something I wanted to share with you guys today. To everyone who is going to be attending the protest at the Bohemian Grove, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you got a lot of great footage, and I look forward to seeing your coverage. Other than that, that is it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in once again, and I will see you all right back here tomorrow. Take care.